When x is being squared, if p is positive, it opens up. When x is squared and p is negative, the parabola opens down. When y is being squared and p is positive, then the graph opens right. When y is squared and p is negative, the graph opens left. You have to memorize these. We're going to write the equation of the parabola given some different pieces of information. What I want you to do is graph whatever you have been given. Your job is to find the p-value and identify your h and k. Figure out which variable is being squared so that you can write the equation. For this example, we're going to graph our focus and directrix. When it's y equals 5, that's horizontal. Now on this problem, you've got to go, well, which way is this graph opening? And you should say to yourself that the graph must open down because it has to wrap around the focus. That means that we're missing our vertex. And the vertex is exactly in between the focus and directrix. So I know where my focus is. This gives me the h value and the k value. So to get the number that's in the fraction, you're going to multiply by 4. It's always 4 times your p-value. That's the denominator. Substitute in h, k, and that number in the denominator. Graph what we know. We know the focus and the directrix. When it says x equals -1, that's a vertical line. So in this one, you have to know, what are you missing? And we're missing the vertex. So it's exactly in between these numbers. This is our h and our k value. We know that the graph is going to open to the right, which means our y value must be squared. To get our denominator of the fraction that sits in front, you're going to multiply that 1.5 times 4. Where did I get 1.5 from? That's the distance from the focus to the vertex. Graph what you know. Y equals 0 means it's a horizontal line. On this one, you've got to ask yourself, what am I missing? On this one, we're missing the vertex again. So you count how far it is, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go halfway. So half of 5 takes us to 1, 2 and a half. This gives us our p-value. To count the p-value, you count how far it is. Since it opens down, we know that p is negative and that it's an x squared. Now substitute in what you know to write your equation. To get the bottom number of that fraction, you multiply -2.5 times 4. Graph what you've been given. X equals -2 is a vertical line. Keep in mind that the parabola wraps around the focus and never crosses the directrix. So this graph is going to open to the left. Since it opens to the left, we know p-value is negative. We also know our y is being squared. So we're missing our vertex. It is halfway in between. This gives us our h and k value. Multiply that p-value by 4 to get the denominator of that fraction. On this problem, we already know h and k. You need to figure out what direction is the graph going. Keep in mind that the parabola wraps around the focus. So this one has to be opening downward. We count the distance from the focus to the vertex to figure out our p-value. We know p is negative because it opens downward. We know that it's x squared because it's opening down. You need to figure out what direction this graph is going to open. We counted the distance here to get the 4. We know p is negative because the graph opens downward. When it opens downward, that's an x squared. Substitute in to get your numbers. On this one, we're missing the vertex. It's halfway in between the focus and the directrix. The p-value is the distance from vertex to focus. The p-value is going to be positive. This graph opens to the right. Since it opens to the right, our y is being squared. The denominator of the fraction is 2 times 4.